Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So Sam Ronan, I've had Sam Ronan on the show. He's a guest and a friend of the show. He's changing his party affiliation. Sam Ronan was running for Congress, and he was running as a Democrat. And he came out with a video on Facebook. I saw it on Twitter, but a video on Facebook where he comes out and says he's changing his party affiliation. He says, I have a big announcement. I'm changing my party affiliation. Sam Ronan exited with such a velocity. He ended up in the Republican Party. He's running as a Republican. That's amazing. I got to be honest. I don't even fully know what they think about that. I saw this a few days ago. I still don't necessarily know what to think about it. Look, let me just show a clip of what his own explanation of why he's doing this. One of the interesting points that he makes, though, is he says, I've had difficult conversations with the progressive community. And he's using it in the context of the reason why I'm doing this is, A, they don't want us. And after having difficult conversations with the progressive community, I thought that it doesn't make sense to run in a gerrymandered district. And the split between the vote is only a small fraction, percentage point. So his thinking is, if I'm a progressive anywhere I go. Whether that's Democrat or Republican, if I'm elected a progressive, I'm elected a progressive. Party doesn't matter. That's his point. Labels don't matter. I do not know the mechanics of this. I know nothing of the mechanics of this. I've seen some people who say, like the guy in Florida who would slowly move over to the left. And it's not even him moving to the left. It's just the political space itself moving so far to the right that guy who's Republican now can run as a Democrat. And I've seen that take place. But in that case, the party itself kind of puts his arms around the guy and says, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Are they going to welcome, pretend for the moment that Sam Ronan wins? Is the Republican Party going to welcome him with open arms? I don't know how this works. I don't know how this works. Let's listen to a part of Sam Ronan's thing.
We've seen these victories. It's just, it doesn't make sense for me to run as a Democrat in a gerrymandered district. And I will give this much concession. The Democratic Party has made some very valid points. They don't want us. They lost 14 million people after the 2016 election. And they lost 4 more million after Tom Perez got selected as the chair. Then they started pushing out progressives from the races. And they put candidates like John Ossoff to the front of the helm and gave him $26 million to squander and throw away the election and lose by doing everything conceivable of being a Republican candidate short of actually declaring himself a Republican candidate. So the difference here is I'm still a progressive. The difference is there are other candidates who did run as Republicans, who did infiltrate that party, who did earn their respect, and who made a valiant effort. Jimmy Connolly, he had a 40% vote in his recent 2017 bid. It was incredible what he had done. He went from being a complete outsider to being completely pushed away from the entire party mechanism to being respected, to having their support. He didn't win. Fine, he didn't win. But Lindsey Brown is also running as a congresswoman candidate as a Republican. There's people in Arkansas, there's people in Alabama and Mississippi. There's people all over the place running as Republicans, which tells you something. The progressive movement, that message is what matters. And that's what I've been saying all along. And I've encouraged running in the other party since running in the DNC chair. In fact, one of the things I said as DNC chair, I would encourage Democrats to run as Republicans in the Republican primaries because that is the way to infiltrate and show that those values, universal health care, universal education, Medicare for all, clean energy, infrastructure reform, jobs programs, tax reform that actually benefits the middle class and doesn't give write-offs for jets. These are the things that resonate with the American people. But unfortunately, in those places where there are Republican majorities, it's because the people vote Republican because that's all they've ever known. It's just, you can think of it as a tribe, if you will. But if you want to be a part of the tribe, if you want to beat the tribe, if you want to encourage the tribe to join your direction, you have to be a part of that tribe. Now, I have done everything within my power to change the Democratic Party, to lead the Democratic Party, and to offer my services to the Democratic Party. I have been rebuffed. That's fine. I don't even say it negatively. They don't want me. Okay. That's fine. No harm, no foul. I am not even angry. That's okay. Now I know the Democratic Party did not want me. So now I will run as a Republican. I will maintain my values, and I will still reach the people. Here's why. When I ran for state representative last year, I knocked on thousands of doors, shook hundreds of hands, and I had hundreds of conversations. And every single one of those conversations, well, okay, maybe not every single one. Most of those conversations, I walked away from that person, and they said, wow, you have some really great ideas. I can't wait to vote for you. What a Republican you are. And I said, oh, I apologize. I'm not a Republican. I forgot to bring that up. I'm a Democrat in this election, but I still welcome and encourage you to vote for me in the upcoming election. They're like, I'm sorry, I just can't vote for you because you're a Democrat. And I said, why? We just had this wonderful conversation. You agreed with my policies. Like, yeah, but you're not a Republican. We go back to that +5 lead. We've had record low turnouts in every single election, and it's getting steadily worse. And that's on a presidential election year. This is an off presidential election year. The turnout is going to be low, and historically, statistically, when the voter turnout is low, conservatives win.
He's right, by the way. That is true. When voter turnout is low, Republicans tend to win. They tend to be more, as far as I can understand, they tend to be more militant in getting to the polls. What's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. It was one of those things that it was in my memory for God knows how long. But it was a Republican. He was like a think tank guy. He was making his point of, I don't want everybody to vote. We do better when people don't vote. That sounds fucking bizarre, but yeah, he's right. Republicans tend to do better with the less turnout. Not sure why that works. It just is. I need to find that video because it's a fascinating video where the guy makes that point, and it adds context to some of these voter laws that comes out. This thing of you know, you can use a gun license but not a student license, and shutting down polling locations and all this other stuff. Let's get back to Ronan. I honestly don't fully know what to think about this, so let's talk about the peripheral, meaning the things to the side. When him and I talked, him and I had this conversation about running with the Democratic Party, and a lot of people kind of made this point to him that they wanted him to run as a Green or wanted him to run as something else. They just could not bear to vote for him with that D beside his name. Essentially, he was being tarred by the behavior of the party. Now, this is a difficult spot for a progressive to be in, because if your base, the progressive base, the people who actually know you and actually want you in that office, that says a portion of them, even if 20, 30% say, yeah, I can't vote for you, dude. You have a D beside your name. If you were the Green Party, I could do that. If you were running as an independent, you would have my vote, but I can't vote for you with the D beside your name. That's how much that D has been tarred. That's how much the D has been tarred. That's through their own behavior, by the way. So you're stuck with a dilemma. You're stuck with a dilemma. If I can't run as a Green Party, because I'm not going to get elected if I run as a Green Party. You're not going to have enough support from people who, you know, who typically vote Democrat, who don't necessarily know who I am, and who are in that two-party mentality to such a degree where they don't even see anybody other than the Democrat and a Republican. I can't run as an independent or a Green also because this issue of the other, where this, you know, this esoteric other. I would vote for so-and-so as a Green Party or as an independent if I thought other people would do the same. You might have 30% of that vote that would have went to that person if it wasn't for that quote-unquote other. So you're stuck with this dilemma. It's like, how do you square that circle? I can't run as a Democrat because if I run as a Democrat, I'm going to lose part of my base, part of the people who are going to vote for me. And if I run as a Green, I'm not going to win because I'm running as a Green or independent. What do you do? What do you do? He also kind of makes this point, they don't want me. He says, I have been rebuffed. I have been rebuffed. The Democratic Party rebuffed me. I love that. He says, I am not angry. I am not angry. That sounds like Liana Havas. I am, what she say? I am not lonely. I am all right. You be all right. You be all right. So yeah, he's been ejected from the party at such a speed, he's ended up on the other side. Good for Ronan. Again, I have no clue what the context of this is. Like what this, I have no clue what this means. I don't even know. You thought you were being rebuffed by the Democratic Party. Wait till you get a load of these guys. It's very possible that the population itself likes you. It's very possible. It's very possible that if, and I actually agree with them, with that people vote in a cultural way. It's like my mom was a Democrat, this person was a Democrat, this other person is a Democrat, everybody knows a Democrat, the Democrat system are tried. There's this implicit pressure that's associated with it. So yeah, there's a cultural dynamic to it. I would add there's a racial element with in regards to how people perceive the Democrats and Republican parties. There's some people who disagree with me on that. Fair enough. It's not that I think it's the overarching thing. Like I don't necessarily think the vote is so compelled by race or identity where the person will completely, write off Democrats in this way. Not that. But come on. Come on. This may be from my own perspective as an African American, and this is going kind of off the rails, but look, as an African American, and I'm saying we because I think this is a collective thing, we're stuck with this thing of why are these people voting Republican when it's very clear that these guys are not in their interests. There's a section of the population, and I would assume are libertarians, and they're probably more on the Republican side. Fair enough. But it's like, what about everybody else? And let's add in the racists, the hardcore racists. Let's put those people in. And then you get stuck with this thing of, what about everybody else? Why are these people voting Republican? Especially when the Democrats started hugging identity in this way. I'm not talking about LBJ. I'm talking about current Democrats. Like, have gotten to the point where identity is the only thing that they use to distinguish themselves. Why? And because that's the thing that they distinguish themselves by, you just by doing it, you create this pressure that goes against that thing. Anything that you do is going to make waves in a sense. And I don't care what it is. There's always going to be this pushback, even if you're doing something good. In the beginning, I think it was something good. At a certain point, it became, we don't necessarily want to deal with these issues of economics, so if we hug identity enough, we can coast. The number of African Americans, Hispanics, etc., keeps building in the country. If we get a winning majority with those demographics, we will automatically get to the point of having a governing majority. We can win in perpetuity based purely on identity. That's the thought. So yeah, I do think you get a pushback in this way. This is going so far off the rails. Let's bring it back. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. A part of me thinks, like I said in the beginning, Sam Ronan has this issue of, if I'm running with the D, my base are progressive, and some of these people who are angry and bitter, the bitter enders. And if I have a D beside my name, those people are not going to vote for me. That's the first point. So that makes sense. To jump into Republican, the question becomes, will the Republican Party welcome him with open arms? The answer is no. But if he wins, do they have a choice? I have no idea what that answer is. I have no idea what that answer is. I don't even know how they're going to deal with this thing with resources. I mean, the candidate, when they join a particular party, automatically, like the socialists in Virginia said that the Democratic Party wanted him to call X number of people in order to get their support, meaning our support is dependent upon XYZ. If it's the same, I'm curious about what the XYZ is in this case. But no, man, Ronan has my support. I would make one critique of Ronan, and that's just be yourself, dude. Like, what I mean by that is, somebody on my page was like, oh, it's hard to listen to him for a long time. That's contextual, of course. That could be anybody. But their point was, and I don't mean this harshly by any means at all, it comes off as scripted to some degree. It's like there's a part in the speech where he goes like, well, that seems scripted. It seems scripted. It seems like you're putting too much thought into the speech. You're a lefty. Now, I don't necessarily have your political people around you. I don't know who's in their ear in the sense. But I would say, but just be you. Just be you. Authenticity is the point. Like, we've gone so far into this thing of spectacle and all this other stuff that these politicians, people see through them. It looks fake. When it looks robotic, they see through the point that it looks robotic. I'm saying, just be you. If you're going to give a speech, just talk. Just talk. Again, that's a tepid criticism. I like, for the most part, what what's his name says. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's like I said, it's a tepid criticism. Because I don't necessarily know who's in his ear. And I don't necessarily have a bunch of people looking at me in this way, where I need to please a bunch of people for the most part. Just be me. I don't really give a shit about the other part. But he's a politician, so to some degree he has to give a shit. I just want to make the point that his base, the people who are looking towards him, they don't need him to be scripted. You can just be you. Even if you had just bullet points in regards to the things you want to talk about, just open your mouth. Just be you. Even among Trump supporters and Republicans, those people elected Donald Trump. You don't need the formality in this way. That's all. Look, I think we're post-formality, to be honest. I think we've come so far into spectacle that people are reaching back looking for something that's a little bit more authentic. I think that's in part why Sanders. I think that's in part why Trump. It's a false authenticity with Trump, by the way. But it does come across a certain level of authenticity, at least to the onlookers, to them. So I'll leave it at that. I'm trying to keep this short. Yeah. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Thanks guys.